Once upon a time, there was a little girl who lived in a little house with a big yard. And every night when she looked up at the moon, she would giggle because the moon looked just like a giant ball of yarn. One night, Emma went out to the yard to play, and under the big oak tree, she met the most peculiar fox she had ever seen. It had a bushy tail, but instead of fur, its tail was made of paintbrushes. And when the fox waved its tail, it left colorful brush strokes on the grass. Then with a flick of its paintbrush tail, the fox pointed to the sky, and Emma gasped. The moon really did look like a giant ball of yarn. Then with another flick of its tail, the fox added a little swirl to the moon. She wanted to help the fox paint the moon, so she brought out her own set of paints. But when she looked for the fox, it was nowhere to be found. "What's your name?" asked Emma. "I'm a red fox," it replied, "and I paint the moon every night." "You paint the moon?" she asked. It had a big, wet nose and eyes that were the color of 5 o'clock. The fox nodded. "Each night I choose a new design. Last night I painted a banana. Tonight I'm painting a heart." Emma giggled. It was the cutest little heart she had ever seen. Emma handed the dandelion to the fox, and it wagged its new tail, leaving a bright yellow mark on the cloud. "Hello," she called. "Are you here?" She looked all around, but all she could find was a little tuft of orange fur. At first, it was shy, just a little yellow circle in the sky. But as the night wore on, the moon grew bolder, turning into a giant sunflower, then an array of stars. Suddenly, she heard a little sniffle, and behind the oak tree, she saw the fox. So they looked under logs and behind rocks, but all the tails they found belonged to snails. They were too slimy and they wouldn't do. The moon was gone. In the daytime sky, there wasn't a cloud to be seen. "What's wrong?" she asked, and Emma looked up. There in the brightest blue sky she had ever seen, the moon was shining down. It was bigger than Emma had ever seen it, and it was winking at her. The moon was too bright for daytime, so it was time to let the sun shine through. Emma and the fox watched as the colors swirled and mixed, painting the sky in hues of pink and orange. She could feel it watching over her as she played. The moon was peeking out from behind a cloud, winking at her, and when she woke up, she couldn't wait to share her dreams with the fox. And hand in paw, Emma and the fox painted the moon until the sky was filled with color and light. Without wasting a moment, they grabbed their paints and raced to the yard. Arm in paw, they stood beneath the moon and began to paint. Then she dipped its tiny brush into a puddle, and sure enough, it left behind the prettiest little paint strokes. "I can't paint tonight," said the fox. "I've lost my paintbrush tail." Emma gasped. Without its paintbrush tail, how could it paint the moon? "Don't worry," she said to the fox. "We'll find you a new tail." Finally, they came across a field full of dandelions, and when Emma looked closely, she saw that each flower had a little paintbrush tail. "Oh, perfect," she said, and she carefully plucked one from the ground. Just then, the sun began to set, and the moon peeked out from behind a cloud. "Thank you," said the fox. "Now I can paint the moon again." And all night long, Emma and the fox painted the moon. When the first rays of sunlight touched the horizon, the fox curled up beside Emma. "It's time for bed," it yawned. "See you tomorrow." Then it closed its eyes, and Emma knew it was dreaming of all the wonderful things they would paint on the moon that night. That night, Emma dreamed of swirling galaxies and planets made of yarn. But when she ran outside, she couldn't believe her eyes. "Where is it?" she cried. Suddenly, she heard a little voice. "Up here." Emma and the fox looked at each other and then at the moon. Emma painted swirls and the fox painted stars. And together they painted the biggest, brightest moon she had ever seen. When the first rays of sunlight touched the horizon, they stopped, and when the sun climbed higher in the sky, the moon hid behind a cloud, leaving the colors for the birds to paint. All day long, Emma thought about the moon and how it had disappeared. She knew it hadn't gone away, and when the sun began to set, Emma ran outside. "It's time to paint the moon again," she whispered. The end.